last week, in what Chief Colburn's point, have fraudulent documents, and a law enforcement officer, how long, Neil and Paul, have you been here? We're going to say the magic word, 5 years. And guess what happens? No action. So the president is saying it's 5 years or more. Well, guess what? He just had de facto amnesty, meaning no enforcement of law for all these illegals.
That is a very interesting point, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. And that was Sheriff Paul Babeu from Pinal County, Arizona. And the sheriff joins us right now. Hello, Sheriff.
Well, thanks for having me on.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for being there. So that is a very interesting take on this this executive order. And in fact, under the way you describe it, it certainly comes down as de facto amnesty.
It is. And in fact, the president talked about 5 million. And in reality, it works out. We're looking at the full 20 million illegals who are in our country. And we had a memo we just released this morning. It's from Secretary Jay Johnson, who put out a 6-page directive, orders, in fact, to all of his officers and agents in his command, saying that, talking about prosecutorial discretion. And they used the date as well of January 1st of 2014, this year. Literally 10 months is all they're talking about. Anybody who's arrived before these 10 months, they're to receive this prosecutorial discretion, meaning that there is no immigration law. So while the president was speaking, telling the American people one thing, which was gasping enough in terms of his executive power grab, but then in reality, the Secretary of Homeland Security did something even far more reaching, and it's just amazing that it's not prosecutorial discretion for a small group of people. It's an entire set of laws for immigration law that is no longer to be enforced.
Right, and I haven't heard anyone ask the question, how do you know someone's been here for 5 years? All they have to do is say they've been here for 5 years?
Well, essentially. And we've actually been talking to ICE about that. And in reality, what it's going to turn out to be is if they believe that the illegal is lying, only then will they check any documents. So this will never happen. I'm telling you, in reality, what will happen is there is no action for the 20 million illegals. And that's what's going to end up happening. And if there is a demand for any of these documents, it's so easy. The fraudulent documents be produced. We already know the #1 industry crime in America is identification theft, right? It's happened to most people. Most of your listeners right now have been victims of that. And that's what's going to happen. They're going to produce fraudulent lease agreements, fraudulent utility bills, anything that's needed to satisfy that requirement. But guess what? It's not even going to need to get there, because the president has just said there is no action. If you're here,
right,
you're here.
All right. So do you believe that the president knows exactly what he's done as you describe it?
Okay.
And do you believe this will lead to the president eventually, before he leaves office? You know, I've heard some say that I think Andy McCarthy, the great Andy McCarthy, told us it would be that it would be well within his right to pardon every single illegal immigrant in this country on his way out the door. Whether it's that or something else, do you believe this is step one for Obama and there's more to come?
Yeah, I have no doubt that there's an exact plan, and I think he's making up some of it as he goes along, and is become more emboldened, because everybody's pointing out, the president has said this at least 14 times publicly, that even when questioned by Univision, all these Hispanics,
that he couldn't do it, right?
Couldn't do it. He said, "I'm the president. I'm not an emperor. And as a president, I've sworn an oath to faithfully execute, carry out the laws by the lawmaking body, by Congress." And now all of a sudden he's done it. So I'm not putting anything past this guy, because the day after the election, he said, the message I got from the shellacking, he didn't say shellacking, but the message he got from the American people was, we got to work together. And now 3 weeks later, that he goes and does this alone. Arguably the most divisive issue in our political conversation in the United States right now, he went and did alone. and clearly it's outside of his powers. Even he stated that himself.
Absolutely. Sheriff, great talking to you, sir. Sheriff Paul Babeu, thank you very much. We'll speak to you again. Up next, digital reporter Nick Sanchez. Don't go away.